welcome back to the channel guys. I am the Drunken Goth and today we are back on the GT4. Today we are going to be ripping those fuel tanks out, getting them out of the way, ready for the welding, and so we can have access all the way down the front of the engine, all the way down that firewall, so we can start getting things cleaned up in there. I'm probably not going to film too much of the fuel tanks coming out, purely on the basis that I don't really want to be messing about when there's fuel splashing everywhere. So let's row in, let's see how far we get, and crack on. So we have just finished getting this fuel tank out, obviously disconnecting the balance pipe down there. We've got some of the wiring up there, breather on the top, so all of that's disconnected, and we've now got that first fuel tank out of the way, ready to get this welding sorted. So we are back down the right hand side. We've just got the second fuel tank out of the way. Unfortunately we had an issue with the strap, so the strap snapped, so we're going to be replacing that. But as you can see, we've now got a good amount of access down the front of the engine, and we can get everything cleaned up behind here and obviously get this welding attended to on this sill and up the body. So there is the fuel tank out of the way. Obviously a lot of this will clean up, we'll get this all cleaned up, painted in shiny silver, ready to put back on the car. But now it's time to get a few of the other bits cleaned up. So as you can see, we've already started on this one, starting to get it close. But once we've got a lot of the wire wheeling done, we're then going to get it on the polishing wheel and get this looking extremely shiny and extremely good. So we dive in with a little bit of time lapse, as this is quite a laborious, tedious task. Basically going through all the little bits that the big wire wheel won't touch. So we've got a selection of Scotch-Brite and wire wheel attachments for the Dremel, and basically we're just going to go through all those little crevices, basically just buzz over some of the larger parts as well. But the main aim at this point is to get around all those little hard to reach areas that the big wire wheel, the main wire wheel, won't really do much good on. Obviously, as I say, it's a bit time consuming. It does take quite a lot of time, but of course, I mean, it's well worth doing once you see the end result, once you see the finished product. And this is basically the rough process that we're going to do for both the belt guards and the cam covers as well, because obviously we want to get those cam covers looking as nice as possible. But for the moment, in this particular section, we're just focusing on the belt guards, showing you the general sort of process that we go through to get them looking nice. Now, obviously, when the car was new, they wouldn't have been this shiny. They would have been quite a dull aluminium. But I always prefer them when they are as clean and as shiny as possible. I think it makes a hell of a difference to the look of the engine. So if at all possible, I always prefer going down this route. Not sure whether this would be approved for Classiche, as I've not put a polished belt guard, polished cam cover car through Classiche. But with this being my own car, not a customer's car, it's something that I think really does make the engine look stunning. So if at all possible, I will always choose to go down this route, as I say, it really does make it look as a Ferrari should be, so that when you open that engine lid and you see the engine, it looks as stunning as a sports car really should. So we're mainly going to focus on the cam covers and the belt guards with this particular process. We will be cleaning up the rest of the engine, the bell housing, the block, in the V of the block, etc. We won't be going that far though with the engine block. Basically we'll be going across it with a wire brush, getting all the crap off it, all the dirt off it, and getting it down to a more of a dull aluminium. The original finish would likely have been very dull, so we will get some block paint involved as well and just get it looking as nice and as fresh as we possibly can. So we've just finished the first one, and as you can see, the before and the after. So moving on to the end plates for the cam covers. Now these are a slightly different process, as obviously they've had gaskets on them to prevent the leakage of oil. So we start off with this bladed scraper and basically just get off any of the excess silicone that has been applied to those gaskets and end plates to prevent any leakage. So once we've got the majority of the large pieces of silicone out the way with that bladed scraper, we move on to this Scotch-Brite, and this will take any remaining last tiny bits off of that end plate and give us a really good, really nice clean surface for the new gaskets to go against. So we'll get a good seal on them. As you can see, they do come up quite nice, and obviously that will create a very nice fresh surface for the new gaskets and the new silicone sealant to bond to and prevent any oil leakage. But the nice thing is with the Scotch-Brite, again, we can use it on the outside of this end plate and get it looking very clean, very shiny, almost like it was brand new. And I really do love going around little bits like this. Again, it's a bit time consuming, it does take a lot of time, but again, it's without having to go to the extent of painting it or getting it on the wire wheel and polishing wheel. You can get these looking very nice, very clean, and in the perfect condition, ready to go back on to those ends of the cam cover. So now I've got all that cleaned up, clean the bolts up, freshen up some washers, and we can get those belt guards back on. So it probably goes without saying, but we will be using brand new nuts, bolts and washers wherever possible when putting these things back together, when putting everything back on. But anything that's very specific, like the specific bolts for the belt guards, obviously they're at a certain length with a certain amount of paint shank. Anything like that we will be getting on the wire wheel, cleaning it up as good as possible, running the thread chasers down the threads on the end, probably running the thread chasers as well into the block, just making sure everything's as clean and as nice and as well fitting as possible. And again, to me that makes all the difference. If you've even gone to the extent of paying attention to the cleanliness of the bolts and the nuts, reassembling everything, it shows you care, and it shows that the proper attention has been shown when going through all this process and reassembling everything. And there we go. So we've got some pictures of the before of the engine so that you can see the condition it was when we came to it. So this is obviously a nice reference point to show you what happens when we've got everything done, but obviously before that we still have a lot more cleaning to do.
Many hours later.
So with all that cleaning done and a couple of the bits back on, you can really start to see now that the difference from what we began with to what we have now. Obviously still a long way off with cleaning bits up and putting them back on, but instantly you can see those parts that have been painted with a block paint, those fresh nuts and washers, everything like that just starts to make this car look stunning. New hoses or original hoses cleaned with new hose clips, cleaning up of the firewall, changing or cleaning of the P-clips and new nuts and washers again, and you can really see the difference it's starting to make. and it's, to me, this makes all the difference going this far with a car, because as you can see here, the before to what we end up with now, it is night and day. It looks absolutely beautiful. So everything's very clear, very visible, and as you can see, it just makes this car as beautiful as it was meant to be when it was originally built, when it originally left the factory. So that is it for today's video, guys. Obviously, the fuel tanks are out. We've got a good amount of the cleaning up done. We're nowhere near finished yet. We've got a lot more cleaning to do, but we're slowly getting there. But yeah, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like on it, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all on the next one.